Stop family triggers from exploding in 5 simple steps. If family triggers leave you feeling hurt, overwhelmed, or disappointed with how you reacted, I have 5 steps to help you move from reacting to responding. Have you heard that saying, your family knows how to push your buttons because they installed them? It's funny, right? Until it's painfully true. Recently, I was visiting my family and I asked someone I love for something that was important to me, and they said no. Right away, I could feel the emotion rising inside of me. First came a feeling of sadness, and right behind that feeling, a thought, they don't love me. That used to be the moment that I reacted, but not this time. This time, I noticed what was happening inside of me. When I notice my emotions and my thoughts, I have the power to respond instead of react. My emotions are my own. No one makes me feel anything. And that's what I want to talk about today. Let me walk you through 5 steps that can help you navigate the emotional wave of family triggers with more awareness, more compassion, and more peace. Step 1, notice the feeling before it becomes a reaction. I asked him for a favor and he said no. The first thing I noticed wasn't my thoughts, it was my body. I noticed a sensation rising in my body. And this is where so many of us lose ourselves. We skip over the feeling and go straight into thinking. We move so quickly from sensation to thought to story that we don't even know what happened. So this is the first step. Pause and notice your feeling before you say anything. Ask yourself, what is this feeling? For me, the answer was simple, sad. Pausing to notice changed everything because awareness creates choice. When you can notice the feeling, you are already interrupting the old pattern. And that matters because you are not powerless in that moment. Even if the emotion is intense, even if the feeling rises quickly, even if you've reacted the same way for years. The moment you notice the feeling, you open the door to a different response. Step 2. Feel the emotion without making yourself wrong. Once I noticed the sadness, I did not push it away. I did not shame myself for feeling it. I did not judge myself for feeling triggered. I did not make it mean that I was weak or too sensitive or failing. I just let myself feel sad. And that is a powerful thing. Because so many people are not only feeling pain, they are judging themselves for feeling pain. The emotion rises and the judgment follows with thoughts like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. What's wrong with me? How come I'm still like this? But nothing is wrong with you because you feel deeply. Feelings don't mean you're broken. Feelings mean you are human. Our emotions are not enemies to defeat. Our emotions are here to serve us. They are messengers. And when you stop fighting the feeling, you make space to learn from it. So the next time you're feeling triggered, instead of making yourself wrong for feeling that way, try treating yourself with compassion. You do not have to like the feeling. You do not have to stay in the feeling. You can choose to acknowledge it with kindness. When you feel the emotion without making yourself wrong, you shift the entire experience. Step 3, notice the thought. After I noticed the sadness, I noticed the thought, they don't love me. That felt real in the moment, but I asked myself, is that true? Just because a thought arises doesn't mean it's true. Sometimes it's an old pattern. Sometimes it's a protective habit. Sometimes it's a painful story your mind created a long time ago. So the thought, they don't love me. When I asked, is that true? The answer was no. Thankfully, I could see it for what it was, a story. Our mind is always looking for the meaning of things. Someone seems distant and the mind says you're not important. Someone says no and the mind says they don't love me. Our minds are meaning-making machines. They take a feeling, add a thought, and create a story. The good news is that when you can notice your thoughts, you can question the story. Because if you do not question the story, you will react to it as if it's true. And then you're not responding in the present moment. You're reacting to your interpretation of it. That's why this step matters. Notice the thought and ask yourself, is it true? Interrupting your thinking with a question can give you the space to stop reacting. Step 4, choose a different thought. When I realized my mind was telling the story, they don't love me, I knew it was time to choose a different thought. I asked myself, what if it means something else? And that question was a game changer. Because the moment you choose a different thought, you interrupt the old emotional pattern. You stop feeding the painful interpretation. You stop locking yourself into one meaning. You open up room for possibility. The next thought that came to me was this. This doesn't have to mean anything. And I was chanting that in my head. It doesn't have to mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And that thought gave me peace. Not because I denied the sadness, not because the moment didn't matter, but because it was different than the painful thought, they don't love me. Choosing a new thought gave me space to feel sad without spiraling into the painful story, they don't love me. Space to accept another person without judging them or making them the enemy. Space to respond instead of react. And that is real power. Step 5, you can choose your response. He said no, and because I gave myself space to notice what was happening inside of me, what could have been an explosive argument stayed a simple conversation. Nothing dramatic happened, and that was a huge gift. I didn't blow anything out of proportion. I didn't overreact. I didn't say anything unkind. And I didn't spiral into emotional chaos. I stayed present. For me, that's emotional wisdom. Not that you never feel angry, not that you never feel sad, not that you never feel triggered, but that when you do feel triggered, you know how to feel what you're feeling without it exploding. I wasn't always able to do this. I remember a time when I was on the phone with a tradesperson and they weren't delivering on their promises, and I felt furious. In that moment, I had choices. I could have hung up the phone. I could have asked him to call me later. I could have taken a few breaths and regrouped, but I did not. I picked anger over friendship. I yelled, I said unkind things, I felt out of control. And when I got off the phone, I felt exhausted and disappointed with myself. That reaction didn't create a solution. It lost me a friend. And it was the last time I let myself react that way with another person. I know better now, and I do better. And this is a practice I want to offer you. Be compassionate with yourself. This takes practice. So focus on progress over perfection. Remember the 5 steps. Notice the feeling. Feel the feeling. Notice the thought creating the story. Choose a different thought. Pick your response. This interrupts the emotional momentum so that you can respond instead of react. That's how you stop family triggers from exploding. It's how you move from emotional overwhelm to emotional wisdom. Your emotions are not here to rule you. They are here to serve you. Enjoy.